Nigel Farage is one of the most famous or infamous British politicians, mainly because of his commitment to Brexit. Now he is giving up the chairmanship of his party Reform UK and is betting on social media. The Brexit champion and EU opponent Nigel Farage is withdrawing from day-to-day political business by his own account. He's given up the chairmanship of Reform UK, as I said, and he said that in the Telegraph podcast Choppers Politics. Richard Tice is now the new party chairman. Brexit is over. It will not be withdrawn, said Farage. The former head of UKIP, that's United Kingdom Independence Party, is considered to be the driving force behind Britain's exit from the EU and one of the most influential British politicians in recent years, publicly influential. I know I've come back once or twice when people thought I was gone, Farage noted himself. But this time it is different, he says. It is done. It's over. And at the same time, Farage emphasized in the podcast that he was not retiring yet. He wants to continue to interfere in political and social debates via the media and social networks. The former European parliamentarian had already announced his retirement from politics following the 2016 Brexit referendum. He wanted his life back, Farage said at the time. A year earlier, the politician had already announced his resignation as UKIP boss, but shortly afterwards he changed his mind. Farage's withdrawal from politics after the Brexit referendum was also short-lived, as we all know, unfortunately. In 2019, he founded the Brexit Party, which is now called Reform UK. And the funny thing about them is, it is still the same party, they just changed the name. But on their website, the last time I looked, you don't find anything about Brexit. And that's, for me, saying a lot, because the Brexit Party does not want to be linked to all the negative consequences of Brexit that are showing up now that Brexit completely has happened. Isn't that ironic? Well, never mind. Just a few months after he founded the Brexit Party, the party became the strongest force in Great Britain in the elections to the EU Parliament, not in any other election. This increased the pressure on the Conservative government to take a tough course in the Brexit negotiations. Farage kept sounding the alarm when he feared that Brexit might not be hard enough. He regards leaving the EU as his life's work. Well done if your life's work is to ruin millions of other people's life's work. At the turn of the year, Great Britain finally left the internal market and the customs union. And now the British Statistics Agency blames Gove for the Brexit numbers. The Cabinet Office used unverifiable data to disprove a Road Haulage Association poll that found export volumes were down 68%. The Cabinet Office, led by Michael Gove, has been formally reprimanded by the UK Statistics Agency for using unpublished and unverifiable data to deny that Brexit caused a massive drop in trade through UK exports. The criticism follows a story in The Observer on February 7th, quoting a survey by the Road Haulage Association of its international members, which found that export volumes through UK ports and the Channel Tunnel fell by a staggering 68% in January. The RHA wrote to Gove at the time, "Information that we continuously collect from international freight forwarders indicates that the loads to the EU have decreased by up to 68%, which can also be proven by the increased number of empty trailers currently in statistics. They are currently not taken into account in these statistics." The RHA also accused Gove of ignoring its warnings that trade would be harmed unless the number of customs officers increased dramatically. The Cabinet Office had responded to the Observer story with a point-by-point rebuttal of the RHA's claims on its website, stating that incoming and outgoing flows via all UK ports were near normal at 95% outgoing and 96% in depth despite the impact of COVID lockdowns on trade. In a letter to Richard Laux, chief statistician in the Cabinet Office, dispatched on Friday following an investigation, Ed Humphreys, Director General of Regulations at the Statistics Agency, expressed serious concerns about the way the department has used data to track the RHA's reviewed information. The letter stated that the Cabinet's strong counter-arguments contained allegations based on unpublished data, and therefore these numbers cannot be verified. We expect all data publicly used by the government to be published in an accessible form with adequate explanation of context and sources. While Humphreys suggested that the Cabinet Office gave assurances that it would provide more information on where its information came from, he added, "The Cabinet Office should consider how publishing data can make it more transparent in the future. For example, if there is a material reason for using unpublished administrative information in a public statement, it should be ensured that the underlying data is published before or at the same time as the public statement. If the public interest in the data persists or is expected, it should be examined whether a new ad hoc or regular statistical publication is necessary." The agency, which is independent of the ministers, has the legal goal of ensuring that the government produces and disseminates statistics. Its mandate states that it will intervene or raise concerns if official statistics are presented in a document or statement in a way that the authority believes tend to mislead the public or undermine the integrity of official statistics. Rachel Reeves, Cabinet Shadow Secretary, said, "Our UK businesses are under enormous strain from the pandemic and the huge amount of costly new red tape resulting from the government's deal with the EU. The government should spend less time arguing with us and with corporations and spinning against them, and more time working with them to help." Trade experts and industry sources said ministers deliberately tried to deny that trade had seriously declined as a result of Brexit by claiming that the flows of trucks were largely unaffected, rather than the volume of goods they contained. However, the RHA had made it clear that it was referring to the volume of goods being carried, stressing that a very high number of trucks traveling to and from the UK were left empty due to problems faced by UK exporters to the continent, and vice versa as a result of the rules and regulations after Brexit. Industry insiders said last night that while there has been an improvement since January, there is evidence that the number of trucks returning empty to the EU is still around 50%. The first official statistics on the level of trade to and from the EU since January 1st are due to be published this month. And another issue is that foie gras should be banned after Brexit, which should excite anti-cruelty activists. For animal rights activists, it's torture in a can. For foodies, or at least some of them, it's a delicious delicacy. Now Britain is set to ban imports of foie gras in a post-Brexit move that is likely to excite, as I said, anti-cruelty activists. British farmers are already banned from making the expensive pâté, which is made by force-feeding ducks or geese until their livers swell to 10 times its normal volume. For now, however, shops and restaurants can still import it under the rules that are still in effect from Britain's EU membership. However, ministers are now ready to take advantage of Brexit by blocking imports. Sources said recently that Lord Goldsmith, the Animal Welfare Minister, is determined to implement the ban in the next few months. Last month, he congratulated Fortnum and Mason after the Queen's grocer announced it was no longer in stock, or was no longer having the delicacy in stock, usually sold as a pâté or mousse made from the enlarged livers. At the time, Lord Goldsmith tweeted, "Foie gras is excruciatingly barbaric. It's hard to imagine that anyone could watch the process and still enjoy eating. The Piccadilly Central London-based store's decision followed a long campaign spearheaded by celebrities such as Joanna Lumley, oh Patsy, I love Absolutely Fabulous by the way, Twiggy and Ricky Gervais. Environment Minister George Eustace indicated 3 years ago that an import ban could come if the UK had completely left the EU internal market. Tory MP Henry Smith called for action, describing foie gras as cruel to produce and unhealthy to eat. Last night, a spokesman for the Ministry of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs said it had been clear that foie gras production raises serious concerns. He added, now that our future relationship with the EU is in place, the government is considering further steps on foie gras. France is by far the largest producer and consumer of the delicacy. That is a delicate point. I don't eat foie gras, just to say that in the first place, and I'm not a friend of the way it's been made. It might be a way to have this forbidden, but we still have a lot of ways of how do I put it, of treating animals. There's always, in the case of foie gras, it's not the case. So from my point of view, my French viewers will now be angry on me, but this should be banned in the EU as well. But it's not a single issue with the animal treatment. And there's always a balance between what can normal people afford to pay for their food, and how expensive can food be raised or grown. And that from my point of view is for a long time now a balancing act where we are still not finished with adjustment. But that is a really difficult point. But in the case of foie gras, which is a luxury, that point is not valid for me. And so from my point of view, it should be forbidden in the EU as well. I'm not a friend of forbidding too much stuff. But in this case, it's really a very traditional thing in France. I understand that. It's maybe part of national heritage, but there must be limits. And I'm sure we have a lot of stuff we have to discuss. I know the discussions about breeding pork and all the other things that are going on here. But I say, in these cases, we still have to make an adjustment between the income of the people and the way of the adjustment of the how animals are held and how expensive that can be. For me, the human is still always has to come in first place. But that's a really, as I said, delicate discussion and a very difficult and very long topic, and too long to discuss here, obviously. But I just wanted to show a little of my point of view there at this point. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.